to Canada during the Vietnam era. Told me that they were having, like bear attacks, but then there's rumors there's Bigfoot in the area, and that they have actually found remains of half-eaten people and stuff like this. I can tell you this. I get people wanting to be on the show all the time. And Ted, they'll sit there and say, well, hey, I'm a Bigfoot hunter. Then I question them. Have you ever actually seen one? Have you ever gone actually and looked for one? No, but I researched for 20 years. You know what? Do you see one? Okay. How can I say it? I know when somebody's blowing smoke up somewhere and they don't know what they're talking about. I mean, I seen one. And like, again, unless it was a guy wearing a half-ape suit and could bend a tree like that and be faster than us getting back to the car going through the woods, something was strange there.
No, that is. I wonder, one thing I've always wondered about them is I wonder why we don't ever find any of their bones or remains. I mean, that's, I've heard some people talk about maybe that they're even kind of in and out of other dimensions, which I don't
believe that part.
That.
No.
Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I have, but I will say this, okay, about not finding bones. Think of this. From 1900 to, I think like 4 years ago, do you realize there's been over 14,000 people who've gone into the U.S. forest system, right? And it totally disappeared. No trace. Now, some of them, maybe fell off a cliff or got washed down a river, but 14,000 people, makes me wonder if there's other things. And then there's been cases, like maybe there is giants still walking around in some of those deep forests. But there's been cases, like I had a person on my show that did a lot of research on this, like a child was camping in the woods with his parents. Maybe 25, 30 feet away, the father and mother were keeping an eye on the kid. Next thing you know, they took their eyes off for maybe less than a minute, right, on the kid. Kid is totally gone, disappeared. The Forest Service spent 2 days looking for him. They found his body 15 miles away. Okay, now this is a 5-year-old, right? There's raging rivers, that even a human couldn't cross in that area. They find him on a mountainside, okay, with his clothes off to, basically down to bones, with the body, the clothes over there. And then that's all the Forest Service would do. They, the police for the Forest Service don't investigate very much. And there's actually an ex-FBI agent that has been doing a lot of research on this. It says the same thing, they don't, for some reason, they'll do a missing search for a day or two, but then they call it off. They don't really want to look for, where the missing people went to.
They don't want to know.
Or maybe they do know.
That could be too, yeah. Yeah. Now, I mean, I'm open to everything, obviously, judging by the things I write about, but to hear someone like yourself that's actually seen, that's as an airline pilot, if I see something in the air that's unidentifiable, we're not going to say anything.
Oh, hey, I used to know somebody really high up. You remember Republic Airlines, right?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody was like one of the vice presidents of Republic, and I got to know him, very well. And, during Vietnam, he used to fly a B-52, and drop stuff over in Vietnam. And he told me there was a couple times, like, he would look off to their wing, and there was a UFO. And, the first time he reported it, and when he reported it, by the time he got back to Japan or wherever the air base was, to land, there were guys there, right, with the CIA and other individuals, right, hushed him in the room, made him sign papers, and said if he ever divulged it, something could happen to him.
Oh, my God.
So, he said, as a pilot, he's had a couple of occasions where he saw stuff after that, but he kept his mouth shut. And especially when he was working for a major airline at that time, as one of the vice presidents of it, he's not going to go around and telling people, hey, I saw a UFO.
No, and that's, it's a shame because how much good knowledge could we gain from firsthand experience from everything, that how many people do keep their mouths shut about that kind of thing.
Well, I'm no offense.
Yeah.
I want to bet if you saw one, you're not going to broadcast it.
No.
Not while long as
No.
you're flying commercially, you're not going to say anything.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing too. Like the Foo Fighters during World War II. I'm sure. Have you heard of the Foo Fighters?
Oh yes.
Not the band.
No.
Right.
The same. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were over in Germany. They were saying several pilots saw these things. They were like it was like a ball of light type thing that was following them around, and it could move. Right, left, up, down, change the rate just, in an instant. And they started calling them Foo Fighters. I can't remember exactly how they coined that name, but that's one thing that, this is something I did write about too in my book, was the Nazi bell. That was supposedly. Have you guys heard of the Nazi bell?
Oh yeah, we did a story on that back about a month ago. Oh yeah.
Really? Oh, that is so fascinating. That's. Because what was it? Was it, were they just working on something for better propulsion? Was it really an anti-gravity? Was it a time machine?
Well, from the people I interviewed, that dug a lot of research on it, they said it had something to do with time travel.
Uh-huh. I believe that. I do. I truly believe that. Now, did you hear the story of the thing that fell out of the sky in was it Clarksburg, Pennsylvania, back in like 1965?
Refresh my memory.
Well, there was several witnesses to this. This thing fell out of the sky. It was bell-shaped. It had kind of like some, the Nazis were into a lot of the occult, whatnot. So there was like these inscriptions around the side, like hieroglyphs or something, and definitely bell-shaped. Numerous people saw it. The government showed up, or the military showed up real quick, loaded it on a truck, threw a tarp over it, and got it the heck out of there. And in fact, in that town, they still have they have a monument on a pole somewhere in the area there that has, it's like a big acorn, acorn which is bell shaped. Just from that time. I mean, there were so many witnesses that saw that. So what was that? Was it the bell? Was it, if it was a time machine, if you're messing with time, if you are going to be traveling through time, what else could it do? So who knows if that's what in fact it was. I mean, I kind of like to think that maybe it was. I don't know. I mean, the stories are, and you probably know more about it than I do then, that the Americans most likely were the ones that got to it, because it definitely wasn't there when, and neither was, what's the guy's name, Camel, I can't remember the guy that was in charge, he was gone too, the bell was gone. I think all the scientists that were working on it got executed, from what I remember, but maybe you can enlighten me a little bit more about that, because I found that to be very, very fascinating.
Well, what I know about it is it disappeared really fast. I mean, just like a lot of the technology. Don't forget the Nazis, or Hitler was really intense on the paranormal. I mean, he was having troops go all over the world, Himalayas and you name it, trying to find paranormal stuff, thinking it will help him win the war. I think Kevin has something he wanted to say.
Well, he actually did find a lot of paranormal stuff, and a lot of our technology now is based on the stuff that Nazi Germany found. Let's say jet propulsion. That was founded in Nazi Germany, and they didn't exploit it, thank God. But
they didn't have time.
They didn't have time either, too. But we took that technology and we still use that to this day, and we're exploiting technology that was so far ahead of us that, where did it come from?
Yeah.
Well, Ted, too, that some of his scientists that he was sending to the Himalayas, they found remains of giants, too. I don't know if you knew that, but...
I did not.
Yeah, I was reading about that and did a lot of research on that, that they found, part of a skull and thigh bone and part of a rib cage. Showing that the creature would have been, the humanoid would have been over 12 feet tall. So, I mean, I don't know how many humans reach 12 feet tall.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them get up to, 9 feet, and they don't live very long.
Yeah, no, and that's pretty rare, and that's, I know there's a lot of people that want to claim that that's what most of these are, the ones with that, giantitis or whatever it is, but I don't think that's the case, but...
Well, they're out of proportion, too.
Yeah.
With that disease, you're out of proportion. I mean, you got a super long legs and, long arms and stuff, but your head is normal and, so, yeah, I kind of... You can sit there and say, well, maybe it's from that, but I disagree with that. I mean, 12 feet? No way.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Stephen Quayle, by chance?
Yeah, I've been trying to get him on my show, but so far I have not had luck.
Oh yeah, he's definitely an expert on the giants, and that I heard him talking about a story that was in, and there's a let's see, I think this was like early 2000, 2002, somewhere in there, over in Afghanistan. It was after it had to be after 2002, because we had troops in Afghanistan, and there was a troop that in this some camp or settlement or whatever, and I think they had heard stories about some giant or something in there, something like that, or there was something that was kind of weird, and then I think they might have lost somebody didn't come back or something, so they went looking for him, and this was a whole. I don't know about a whole platoon, but it was several. So, all armed with machine guns. There must have been about, 10, 8, something like that. And they found this cave, and this red hair again, the red hair giant come out of there. His size, I think, if memory serves me right, he was somewhere, maybe 12-ish, somewhere in that range, or bigger. Might have been bigger even. But he come out and... I think he had a spear. He skewered one of the soldiers, killed him right then and there, and they just unloaded with their machine guns. And it took a lot, but they did kill it. And then they took it to the air base and loaded up on the air one of the cargo planes, flew it back to the U.S. And the story came from two different people. One was somebody in that platoon that was involved in killing it, and another one was one of the pilots that flew it back to the U.S. And that was like 2002. So, I mean, that was, that's pretty credible from all the sources that covered that. It's if they're making it up, sure, anyone could be lying about stuff, but the stories were too close. Everything. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty amazing. I was pretty shocked to hear something that recent. Because these things, if they existed, sounds like they're still here.
Well, that's my feeling, that they are still here. You have to understand, the government is basically, and the reason why I can say this, I mean, I've had guests on the show who worked for the government in different, black agencies or whatever you want to call them. They don't want us to know what's going on. I think remember like the War of the Worlds, Orson Welles back in the 30s?
Yeah.
Okay, the people who didn't hear the beginning of the broadcast, I mean, they were freaking out. I mean, they were getting their guns. A few people committed suicide, jumping out of buildings and all that type of stuff because they thought, we were going to be totally invaded and, mankind was going to be over with. And it scared people. I don't care if it's been 90 years or 80 or 70 years ago. People are going to be the same way. All of a sudden, if they announced on the radio right now that we were being attacked by aliens, what do you think would happen?
Yeah, it would be pandemonium. Yep.
No, the same way.
Exactly. Yeah.
The same way, you're out in the woods, right, and you run into a giant, and you get pictures of it, and you take it, hey, your camera's going to